Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Birthday. Great.
So I heard from Dale and Sue that they're not going to be joining us. I think Dale is basically exhausted. And Sue struggled with whether or not it was okay to tell you, but she decided that it was okay to share with you that she fell and tripped over her dog yesterday, and
Oh my God.
face planted, has had 2 trips to the ER, and
Oh my gosh.
she's very
That's the
bruised.
last place you want to be.
Yeah, she's very bruised and very exhausted, but you know, miraculously, I guess they did a CT of her head. Everything's fine. She like jammed her finger back in place, just working on adrenaline. She said her whole face is completely destroyed. She thought she'd broken her nose, but didn't. But my amateur analysis, Felix, is that I think her ego is more bruised than anything else.
Between the 2 of us, freaking Brack here.
Yeah, she feels a little, you know, ridiculous. But I told her that, you know, in the Temple Sky universe, because we hear about everything that happens to everyone, people trip over their dogs all the time.
All the time.
Right?
Yeah. Oh,
All the time.
And I would say at least 3 or 4 times a year, word trickles down through the Shalom
Yes, yes.
that we hear about somebody who like got legitimately hurt from tripping over a dog. So I think she felt a little better when she realized that she's not the only person on the planet.
Who is this, Rabbi?
Sue.
Oh, Sue.
Sue and Cliff, or Sue?
no, Sue Proudy.
Proud.
Proudy. Oh, thank you.
Oh.
And she's already weak from her
Yeah,
surgery.
that's it.
So it's a continuation. She's not really, we talked the other day and she's still in pain a little bit.
Yeah.
She's embarrassed. I think she's embarrassed.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
The biggest hurt is her ego.
I have to watch my feet all the time these days. I never used to, but I just going up little steps or looking around. I don't know what it is, but I have to be careful of what's around because I've fallen before.
Yeah. Did you say you're 65?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Really?
What?
You how old I
I would
am.
have pegged you for at least 10 years younger.
Oh my
you-
God.
yeah.
I love you, Rabbi. I loved you anyway.
Ditto.
Good. So here's what I'd like to do. We're beginning our unit on stubbornness tonight. Before we delve into that, you know, we are in the period of counting the Omer.
Yes.
So we've completed 1 week. And you might, let me just pull this document up if I can and share my screen. So, you know, I'm very attracted to this Kabbalistic concept of how we count the Omer. So this is a chart of the Sfirot. So the idea is that God is up here, out here, the Ein Sof, God as completely unknowable. And then we divide the Sfirot into the 3 upper Sfirot, which are still kind of elevated and far away from us. But the idea in the Kabbalistic universe is that this represents a diagram of how energy flows from God to us. So it flows this way. So we start off the first week of Sfirat HaOmer is the week of Chesed, the week of, we know what Chesed is, we've studied it, we've practiced it, loving acts of kindness, loving kindness, however we translate it here.
Yeah.
And because there are 7 lower Sfirot, and because there are 49 days of the Omer, so in the Kabbalistic world, each week of counting the Omer has its own particular nuance, and then each day has a sub nuance to it. So, for example, the first day of the Omer was chesed of chesed, the lovingness of love. And then the second day was Chaburah of chesed, the strength of love. And then the third day was the beauty of love. So we have finished the week of love. And tonight we're going to count in a minute. We're entering the week of Gevurah, the week of strength. And once again, each day has its overriding sifirah, its overriding quality associated with it, and then its little nuanced perspective. So tonight, because we're entering Gevurah, and so the first night is Chesed of Gevurah. What is the loving kindness within strength? So I find it kind of fun to think about how each of the 49 days has a little bit of a tiny different quality associated with it. And I have two different Omer counters that I use at home. One is from Rabbi Simon Jacobson, where there's a kind of meditation for each day of counting the Omer. And this gentleman, Simon Jacobson, has a website called Meaningful Life.
Rabbi, I made a document with the links for every week. If you want me to share it, I can.
That would be fantastic. Super great.
Wow. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
And
You want me to share the screen and show it to you?
Yeah, sure.
Email it to everybody?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Beautiful. Yes.
Wow.
You need to share the screen or just email it to everybody?
Why don't you do both?
But do both. That'd be great.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here it is here. Let's see if I can get to it. So this actually links to Chabad for some reason. I've got the rainbow swirl of death on my screen.
Yeah, see.
No.
So these are the links for the
there you
week.
go.
Oh. Through Chabad, you said?
This was on the Chabad website. It corresponds with the book that Rabbi just showed us.
Okay.
So I can email this to you. I've already emailed it to my Hebruta partners.
Thanks.
That would be wonderful.
If you want,
Thank
Rabbi,
you.
I'll email it to you and then,
Well, you could just do a reply all to one of our emails.
okay.
And then if you go to meaningfullife.com, you can sign up to have every day they'll send you for free a reflection on the combination of Sfirot for that day. By the way, the Musar Institute also has a free Omer counter. So just go to the musarinstitute.com. You can sign up for that. The other one that I really like is this 49 Gates of Light by Jonathan Gershom. And he has, the same thing. Every day there's a reflection. He's got,
Well,
Right?
this is called 49 Gates of Light.
Why is it 49 days?
Because it's 49, because we start counting the second night of Passover and we're counting until Shavuot. So it's 7 times 7, and then the 50th day is Shavuot.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to say the blessing. It starts off like all of our other mitzvah blessings, and then it ends al sefirat ha'omer, for counting of the Omer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvot v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer. So we give thanks for the mitzvah of counting the Omer, and we say Hayom Shmona Yamim. This is the 8th day. Shehem Shavua Echad, that is 1 week. V'yom Echad, and 1 day of the Omer.
Okay.
So it's kind of a fun thing. When you're looking forward to something, you count the days, right? For me, the big thing with the Omer this year has been like, we wish we knew if we could count the days till this was over.
Rabbi,
Yes.
I just want to mention, I just got a message from Owen. He's
Yeah.
waiting to join. I think you need to acknowledge him or someone does
Hmm.
In the waiting room.
in the waiting room.
There shouldn't be a waiting room for this. So let me, okay,
Give him the meeting number. Let's see.
I'm just going to try to find the link.
High hope. We've got high hopes.
Okay, let's. All right,
You cracked me up.
I'm getting the information and I will text it to him.
Okay.
Maybe.
He might have the wrong link.
Yeah, or he might have gone to the wrong address.
Yep.
Maybe he just needs the meeting ID or.
Yeah, I'm sending him the link right now.
Mhm.
One of the things that I've noticed about Zoom, if you set up your recurring meetings before they initiated all of the security features, you don't need them for the ones that you set up before.
Yeah, I have not set this up as a recurring meeting because I haven't, the bi-weekly thing eludes me. So I set each of these up individually. Matthew, I see you're raising your hand. Where are you?
I'm right here.
Oh, there you are. Hi.
I was just going to say that I had a meeting Monday night and my granddaughter taught me how to do this, including with a note, you have absolute power to shut down the people you don't like.
Yes.
And ironically, the one pain in the neck in our HOA did not show up on the Zoom meeting, and we don't know if he gave up or he knew there was a good chance neither Henry or I, the other co-host, would ever recognize him in a meeting. So it was actually the best meeting we've had in 6 months.
See, look at the silver lining of this situation.
Oh, there's everybody.
Hi.
There's Owen.
Here's Owen.
Excellent. So, yeah, one of the things, Matthew, is so I'm doing all of these Zoom meetings, and there's a certain person who's in a number of my Zoom groups, and he tells me that Zoom protocol is that when you join, you mute yourself, and you only unmute yourself when you want to speak. And as the host of the meeting, I can mute anyone. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I'm totally resistant to doing that. It feels so dictatorial and authoritarian to me to mute people. So my Zooms are free for all. If you need to mute yourself, you need to take responsibility for that. But I like just can't take authority for muting people. I want them to have their voice.
The only reason that you would do that if there was a lot of background noise.
Right.
Yeah. This seems okay today.
I was on like a legitimate business call today with the stockbroker and computer share, and I don't know, somebody had a dog barking in the background. I don't know if it was the stockbrokers people or the computer share people. I thought, wow, you need to figure that one out. Good. So let's see. I think Owen, we counted the Omer in your absence. It's the 8th day of the Omer, just for the record. And
okay, thank you.
We're going to give each person 30 to no more than 60 seconds to tell us what's going on in your world. Beth.
Oh, did you say me?
Beth Isaacs.
Okay. Thanks. I found it a little difficult to, handling this not knowing when it's going to end, being inside. I have been going to the St. Mary's Food Bank and volunteering there, so that's helping me a little bit. But I'm still unsettled. I haven't calmed down to the situation yet. I'm still, I'm not feeling myself. I'm feeling unsettled. And I think tomorrow will be better, but I just feel uncomfortable with what's going on.
Is there anything that makes you feel better, Beth? Or do you have opportunity to be outdoors, to exercise?
Yeah, actually, taking the dog for the walk has helped. That's helped. Being outside, yes. It has helped. I just, I think I just got to get settled into this and start a routine of some sort because, yeah, there's just too much free time or just, I like a little bit of structure. So I think I need more structure.
A number of people in my Wise Aging group have mentioned that they made schedules for themselves at home and that they found that to be really helpful.
That's a good idea. I'm kind of starting to settle into that. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Maybe like organizing an actual structured schedule.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to start writing tomorrow anyways on that. So yeah, thanks.
Good. Matthew, how are you and Kay?
We're hanging in and we're having a feeling of gratitude for what we have and a lot of concern for others, both people who are suffering horribly, be it out of work, lined up at the St. Mary's Food Bank, illness. At the same time, a feeling that there are just some people out there who have no clue they're going on with their lives. They're angry that they can't go to their bar or whatever. Without getting into the politics, it's just, there's a sense of loss of not being people and a routine. There's also a real sense of gratitude. Part of it is Musar. There's a regularity. I study with James and Owen. I study with Dale. We have class every 2 weeks. That trying to do it, but it's a concern for people we know who literally have nothing in their lives are upside down. And I don't think people are ever going to really recover from this. It's going to be a new class divide. And that's the nicest way I can put it.
So that concerns you. So my Wise Aging group earlier today, we're just starting a new book called Getting Good at Getting Older. So this is a great book by Richard Siegel and Rabbi Laura Geller, Getting Good at Getting Older. And interestingly enough, the very first chapter talks about Musar and gratitude. So that's why I happen to be very easily able to grab there. I put in the chat box, Matthew, the gratitude teachings, which you've seen before, but might be a good time to look at those again. And I would also remind you that earlier in Chaburah, we did talk about judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be helpful when you're getting in that place of feeling so judgmental to go back and review some of that material, and maybe that would be a good place to journal a little bit as well. Hope, how are you doing other than drinking a lot?
Alone.
I'm walking. I have a routine going on because I need structure too. And I'm on my 5th book. I'm reading like a lot. And I do go into work for an hour or two, maybe once or twice a week. So that gives me. And I have a trainer in the park, 6 feet away, social distancing. And that helps me because I need to keep moving. But I'm okay. I'm surviving. We are surviving. We're healthy, grateful, blessed. That's all I can say.
All right. Amanda.
Okay, I unmuted. I am also grateful, and I wake up every day grateful and saying thank you to Hashem, and thank you that I get to live another day. And the days there's a lot of silver linings in this. We have a routine now of eating dinner together every night. Tonight we didn't. Tonight I ate here at my desk. But the girls are learning how to cook, and they're enjoying that. They're not helping very much with cleaning, and I'm trying to get them to want to help me, and that's a struggle. But they're good girls. They're not complaining. They're on the computer too much. But I'm very grateful that I have them, because I think that I feel really, my heart goes out to all the people that are alone. So if you're alone, I know it's hard for you. I'm just grateful that I have them, because they give me a lot of purpose, and my whole day is structured around what they're doing and getting them to do school. Or one of the great things is my younger daughter does dance, and it's all online. And every day, Monday through Friday, she's dancing, and I love it. I love watching her, and it's beautiful that she can continue that movement. I can't really get them to go for walks, but overall, I'm doing pretty good. I'm starting to get into a sync of all of this. While I want the country to open up, of course, I'm also getting stressed about how it's going to be done, and how, if the numbers are going to go back up. I went grocery shopping yesterday, and I don't know if any of you have been grocery shopping in the actual store, but a lot of people don't wear face masks, and that made me nervous.
Notice that.
So I don't know, but we'll see what happens,
I want to publicly thank you for your daughters helping my daughter out with visiting with Helena. It's really, really hard for the littlest kids, because they don't really understand. They just know that all of a sudden they can't see their friends, and they can't see their teachers, and their whole worlds have been uprooted. So it's been very kind and gracious of her to spend a little time with Helena and give her something to do and something to look forward to.
My older daughter is calling Helena, Rabbi's daughter's daughter, and reading to her and spending time with her sometimes on the phone, which is really nice. I just want my kids and myself, we feel a little bit helpless, like we're not doing anything to help the world. And so even if it's a little thing like that, I want to teach them that we have to keep giving. So
Well, in our world, it's not a little thing, it's a big thing. So thank you so much for that.
I will let her know.
Yeah, and I also want to say with the dance, our next unit that we're going to get to is sorrow. And one of the Kabbalot for dealing with sorrow that we'll see the Musar teachers recommend is dancing. So, yes,
Interesting.
It's a very healthy strategy for overcoming sorrow.
You know what's funny? One night we spontaneously had a dance party.
Yeah.
It just happened very spontaneously. There was a band on the TV that we were listening to, and we all just got up and started dancing, and it was really nice.
Beautiful.
So,
Sheila, how are you and Bob doing there?
We're doing okay. I mean, the fact that I broke my whatever it's called, my
kneecap, yeah.
It's got a name, but I can't remember what it's called. Maybe whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm in the brace now for a month, and for me, this is kind of like a blessing in disguise, because I'm always running and going, and where am I going? Kind of settled me down. Bob is working from home. And he's thrilled because I am cooking every night. He said, you still have it. I said, don't get too spoiled. But I have to say that I'm taking 2 online kind of self-growth courses that just have really calmed me down and really made me look inside myself. If anybody wants any information, they're both free and they're online. And if you have time, I'm putting it out there. I mean,
Sheila, tell us one thing you learned that was most touching and helpful.
From what?
From these classes that you're taking.
Well, one of them is good and bad. Okay, The first thing is that I discovered about myself I'm selfish, and I'm selfish in the fact that because I'm not really working, it's causing people to worry about me, and that's being very selfish on my part. And the other one was, which I really thought I was good at, but I guess not really, is communication, which I thought that I was really good at. So I mean, really um, have insight into myself. And the other course says that most people are not really their true self. They're your false self, because when we're young, before we're 3 years old, we're shaped. And then the world comes in, and we wind up doing or learning what they want us to do. And so we take that with us through our whole life, unless we change ourselves. It's very, very interesting and very impactful.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're using the opportunity of this time for some specific
Really
growth.
self-growth. Yeah.
Michael, how about yourself?
Well, we started off the week with having a Passover celebration with Elizabeth on Zoom. That was really a lot of fun. Thank you, Elizabeth. And
Fun.
it was a lot of fun. It's nice when you could be at the comfort of your home sometimes and just seeing everybody. And we finally met her daughter, Robin, which is really nice. So that really worked out well. And then I had the opportunity to do Zoom with my family as well, my immediate family. And I think that was really helpful for all our family that was present, because it gave us an opportunity just to share and talk. And it was really more uplifting. You know, it was just simple conversations, but I just think it was just opportunity just to let our hair down, so to say. So I was just glad that we were able to do it as a group. But that's pretty much it. I feel like I'm very structured since I do work from home. And I'm grateful for that. And I think that what's grounded me is my daily walks with my dog, because I really always have paid attention to the nature. You know, I don't use my phone. I just listen to the birds, you know, the sounds of nature all around me. And I love to walk around 5 to 6 o'clock, because the sun starts to set. Well, not that early now, but a little later. But it's just the sun feels warm on your body at that time. There's just a certain feeling I get.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful light, you know. It's
yes.
the light shifts and you get that magical light.
I agree. That's a very good way to put it. I think it's the light that it's just something special on that hour. And so I deeply appreciate it, because it really just takes me to another level. So, but that's what's been going on. And so just trying to move forward. I'm a structured person. So, you know, I'm still moving forward with things that I'm working on. So I feel the only thing that's really changed in my life is just how I go shopping. As Amanda was saying, that was an experience. But I finally went out and realized there's actually things there. You just have to go early.
Right.
So that's the trick. You shop early and you'll get everything you need.
Good. I'm glad you have everything you need.
Yeah. Yes. The most important thing, paper towels.
I'm waiting for toilet paper.
Oh yeah. Costco has it. You just have to go early.
Yeah, I missed it today.
Elizabeth, how are you?
I'm good. I go to my office 5 hours a week and teach online, because cat and dog do not let me teach here at the house. So,
Yeah.
and my plants at my office are totally freaked out that I'm not there. So I have to talk to them when I go in, and I had to move them because my office is an east-west exposure and it's getting too hot in the west. So I moved all the plants to the morning sunrise, and the online teaching is difficult. You can imagine me trying to see everybody in these squares moving and correcting their movements and their alignment.
Oh, wow.
But we're getting it done, and the learning curve is interesting. I have to pause the recording, and then, you know, sometimes I forget to get it started again, but third time was a charm. This week I got a good recording. I'm giving everybody recordings of the lessons, and people are really getting great benefit. People are extremely appreciative. I'm trying to do this online. hoping not to lose my office. So,
Yeah.
it's just challenging. I moved to a new office in October, so I'm teaching online just so that I can basically try and make my rent for May. So
Yeah.
hopefully
How
I
many
will.
people are you working with at one time?
The most that I have is 13. I've got a colleague who I saw on another Zoom meeting that was a professional meeting, and I invited her to join us. She lives in New Zealand, so she comes to my 3 o'clock Tuesday class because that's 10 in the morning the next day.
Wow.
So I always ask her and joke, what's going on in the future tomorrow. But it's, some people are very good at setting up their cameras so that you can see what they're doing. Other people are technologically challenged, so it's a learning curve. My husband's stores are still open. They're crazy busy. It's ridiculous how busy the stores are. He has hardware stores. They were deemed an essential business, so he's just exhausted. So, and he can't get to his stores in Albuquerque because if you fly into New Mexico, you have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. So
Wow.
he hasn't been to those stores in a month, so he's getting a little antsy about that.
Hmm.
We're good.
Debbie Rubin?
Well, I'm truly amazed at what I'm seeing on television and reading about online is the love and the caring of people all over the United States, all over the world. I don't think in my lifetime I've seen anything like that, and it's a good feeling. And yet on the other hand, and I don't want to get political, I wish our politicians were more like the rest of the world. And there was more love and kindness between everybody. But it's just good to see people connecting on that level, with that energy. It just makes me feel good.
Excellent.
There's hope for the world.
Hope is good. Hope is the national anthem of the Jewish people.
Oh, I like that. That's beautiful.
Hatikva.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's right.
Felix.
Yes. Hi. I'm okay. I'm good. I feel a lot of gratitude for what I have and what I'm still able to do. Thank God. I seem to be healthy and well. My wife, my daughters are all healthy and well. Pretty much I'm just practicing from home. Walking my dogs a couple times a day. And I'm wondering whether or how much of this will still be with us after it's over. I go to my office building once in a while and I look at it and I think, what is this? Do I really need this?
Right. Interesting.
Do people need this? I don't know. I'm not sure. For the most part, I really don't think so, but maybe they do. I don't know. So I'm wondering. I'm thinking a lot about it.
Yeah, I think Amanda used the phrase earlier of a silver lining. And I think Temple High as a community is experiencing that, for example, the Zoom teaching, not so much with this group, but for example, the Sunday morning Torah study group, there are people for whom it's really an insurmountable obstacle to get to the temple on a Sunday morning at 9:15 for Torah study. But if they can log in on Zoom, they've been able to participate. So we're kind of wondering if when this is all over, if there might be a way to continue with the technology so that more people can participate and join us. So,
Right. Maybe some combination could be somehow structured.
yeah, I think also, Felix, when you're talking, you talk about gratitude. And as we delved into some of the readings on gratitude earlier today in Wise Aging, just very fortuitously, there was a reference to, thanks to grocery store workers. And, that's something that was written years and years and years and years ago. Somebody had that consciousness, and I wonder, like, the renewed appreciation that we have for people in certain positions in society, it would be really wonderful from my perspective if we were able to retain that sense of appreciation.
Yes.
Or we could just go back to business as usual, and the kind of the more superficial maybe sense that we had of what's successful and what's important.
Right. I don't think we're ever going to go back to the way things were.
I don't either.
At least not in our lifetime.
So that would be a good outcome.
Yes.
I think
Not the-
every person who has preschoolers at home now is going to go back to sending their kids to school, thinking that the preschool teachers need to have their pay quadrupled.
Yeah.
I hope you're right, but historically, after every plague, those people who served the masters, and I'm using that word from a history book, there was a period where things got worse economically, even during the recovery in every plague in history, that people forget very quickly, and people lost so much they never recover versus those who recovered well. I hope we're all on the same page that this will continue, but I just have a great deal of fear.
I understand your skepticism, Matthew. Yesterday we had a Yisker service. Yisker is a whole service that we have 4 times a year dedicated to remembering and the importance of remembering. And it's not so easy. It's a challenging concept. What do we remember? How do we remember? For me, I'm having trouble remembering what normal felt like. And I think you're saying the flip side is, once whatever the new normal is going to become, it's going to be very easy to forget the lessons that we learned from this moment.
I think that's a polite way to put it. That it's not lessons we're going to forget. And there was one very conservative columnist who wrote about being in the hospital with COVID-19 and realizing the question for an illegal immigrant is, what did you do now? Thank you, and you're an American citizen because you've kept us all alive.
Wow.
I saw that paper today.
What?
Yeah, I saw that column.
That Peggy Noonan column, just saying, when are we going to all recognize? And her fear was we're not.
It's an open question. We'll see. Vicki and Owen, you get the last word before stubbornness.
Well, I'm doing well. Thank you. Good to see you all. I often reflect on how this is truly a watershed moment for myself and for all of us. I always think about in public health, the talk is about significant behavioral change happens usually practicing new behaviors for 12 weeks. Usually 3 months of living a certain way with new behaviors is usually transformative in people's, lifestyle and better choices. And I know that there's so much suffering, and I feel it, and I feel it. I can feel it in myself at moments. I feel it in my friends. I see it all around. And I think it's an invitation for us all to really go down deep and practice those skills of compassion, self-compassion, and compassion for others. I'm working on patience because I too want this to be over, and I know it's not going to be a quick fix. And so trying to live a life where I do something every day that lifts my soul. I do something every day where I'm talking to people. I do some movement. I do some spiritual reading. I cook healthy foods, whatever it is I need to do. But I always every day I try to do something that fills me with positive thoughts, because there's so much negativity. I mean, just to listen to the news, if I don't titrate the news, I could easily get swept away with overwhelm. So, it's really managing ourselves, right, during this time. And it sounds like you all are doing well, and I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I don't know how many of you are following every day on Facebook. I post the Midah of the day. I'm pulling from the Lights of Musar cards that you're very familiar with. I pull one out, and then I try to say something intelligent and meaningful about whichever card I happen to pull. Thank you. And today,
great job, Rabbi.
Yeah, thanks. Today was gentleness.
Oh.
And, I was thinking about that in the context of what you're saying, Vicki, because one of the things that I did mention was, being gentle with ourselves. Matthew, yes.
Oh, I just said I watch it every morning.
Well, thank you very much.
And it comes in on a whole stream of things, and you can't believe what else is on that stream in Facebook that you don't want to even look at. You're like at the top, and then all these other very strange things are linked together.
All right. Wouldn't be the first time I had strange companions. Okay. Owen, how's the garden and life in general?
I'm not going anywhere near the strange companions comment.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you have the floor.
Things are better than I imagined. The garden is fine. The roses are all fully in bloom at this point.
Oh my God, must be gorgeous.
Beautiful.
The two last bushes, one of which is for my oldest son, Jesse, which is a bright red rose called Firefighter. Jesse is also a firefighter in California. And there's a white rose called Full Sail, which is right behind David's rose and Jesse's rose. And that belongs to Mary Ann. And they all have just started to bloom today.
Oh my goodness.
So that continues to be really very comforting. I've been thinking about stubbornness from the standpoint of this plague that we're dealing with, and thinking what it must have been like in Egypt to have something like this happen, where people were dropping dead without notice, and that it was clear that something really awful was happening, and the people in charge were not listening. And then imagine that there was another plague that followed, and then another. So I've been thinking, is this part of a larger scale phenomena? But just the idea of this is telling us that we need to be treating people differently and ourselves differently. And the idea that the heroes of this are generally the people that have been unknown, unrecognized, unacknowledged, which are the people that do the everyday grunt work that makes our world work. And it would seem that, coming back to Matthew's point, that there are people that will get very, very wealthy shortly as things begin to go back to normal. And those are the people that sat and said, how can I turn a buck from this? How can I make something out of this that benefits me? And in some ways, that I would hope that the lesson is you don't do that. But I think that this is a turning point in all of our lives and in the world's history.
All right, so you're mentioning stubbornness, so it's a good opportunity to turn. I wanted to read as an opening. I'll put where I'm going to read from, but I want you to more so listen rather than worry about turning to the page. I'll find the page. But there, our material suggested an opening reflection for this session that I thought was very very touching. To begin your VOD session, we propose a contemplation that embodies the theme of stubbornness in experience. Our focus for this VOD is the expression of stubbornness called achshanut, which has the connotation of being stiff-necked, obstinate, and rigid. So take a moment to think about where your neck is located and what function it plays in your life. Close your eyes and visualize all the traffic that passes through your neck. Air, food and nerve pathways, life-sustaining fluids such as blood and lymph pass through this narrow region of your body. Notice each passageway and its critical function. Feel air coming in through the head and passing to the chest through the neck. Swallow and notice how substance that begins its journey in the mouth reaches the stomach through the neck. Be aware of the feelings in your hands and your toes and know that you are only sensitive to the extremities of your body because nerve passages from those distant places reach your brain through the neck. Notice that you are able to think and reflect, that the brain can only do its thinking function when it is fed by blood that is purified in the lungs and then comes to the head through the neck. To perform all these necessary and life-sustaining functions in such a narrow passage, the structures of your neck must be packed very closely together. See in your mind's eye how all the tubes and vessels are lined up in such close order. In order to function at their best, the neck needs to be flexible with an absolute minimum of excess tension. And in fact, the neck is one of the most flexible parts of the body. Reflect on how many directions your neck can move in. And then consider what it means to be stiff-necked, which is the same as stubborn. All the muscles in the neck are constricted. When the neck is constricted, all the flows within it are constricted too. The stomach doesn't easily get its food. The lungs don't draw air effortlessly. The brain is deprived of blood. The transmission of nerve messages is interrupted, and so on. The place of flow becomes a place of blockage. Reflect too that a stiff neck is not capable of its full movement and so restricts your ability to see. When you can't see all around, your knowledge of what is true and what is available to you will be unnecessarily limited. As such, stubbornness hides the truth from the eyes, as a stiff neck makes it impossible to see in any direction except straight ahead. Reflect then on how stubbornness reduces your awareness of what is true, just like a stiff neck reduces your ability to see in more directions than one. That in turn reduces the number of options you have in how to act, and that in turn reduces your free will. Therefore, loosening up your neck gives you the ability to see more of what is around you. Look left and look right. Look up and look down. Now you are much more in contact with truth than when you can only see straight in front of you. Now you know what really lies around you, and you can see that you have many more choices available to you. Your free will is increased, and with that, you have become a freer human being, more guided by truth. So when you're ready, let's open our eyes and come back together. And I'd love to hear from anyone who had a particular response to that exercise, but I'm thinking specifically that Elizabeth and Owen may have something to say. Elizabeth, just because so much of her work is in the body, and Owen, because I know, I hope it's okay to share that Owen suffers from a physiologically stiff neck. So, I see your head shaking. Maybe you can share a little bit about, what that's, how that impacts your world and what your reflections were on hearing this.
Well, I thought you were describing me. It's very hard to live without being able to move. And the kids used to tease me by talking just outside, coming to ask me something and standing just outside my peripheral vision. So I have to turn my whole body to see them. It is, in fact, very limiting, and it requires a lot of forethought to accomplish a lot of things. Just regular physical acts of doing the laundry, getting out of the bathtub. It makes it hard. Reading it sometimes is hard because my head is in one position and my neck goes into spasm, and I've ended up in the emergency room once because I couldn't swallow something. There's a line from My Big Fat Greek Wedding where the father is saying that there's an argument with one of the kids, and he says, "I'm the head of the family and you'll listen to me." And his wife says under her breath, "Don't listen to him. He may be the head, but I'm the neck."
That is fantastic.
Wow.
I can turn the head wherever I want it to go.
I got to write that down. That's my big, I have to write that down. That's fantastic.
That's one of the best lines in that movie.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding. So, okay. I'm making a note here, so just give me a minute.
I missed what you said, Elizabeth.
I said it's one of the best lines in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Except for the bundt cake.
Yes, the bundt cake.
I think the best line is, "It's all right, I'll make lamb."
That's right. I don't eat meat. That's okay. I'll make lamb.
So, Elizabeth, what can you tell us, not to put you on the spot, about your experience with the neck?
At the neck? Well, one of the most amazing things about the neck is accessing the healing of the vagus nerve. Which the vagus nerve is cranial nerve that innervates all of your viscera with the exception of the descending colon, and it starts here and here, comes around, wraps around the esophagus and the heart and the stomach, and then innervates the internal organs. So for me, the neck, it's not only the neck, but it's how the axis is cervical 2, the atlas is cervical 1, and then how does the cranium relate to those two vertebrae, and then how does cervical 7 relate to thoracic 1, and if any one of those places along the chain aren't functioning properly, then you won't be able to turn your head. your eyes set the muscle tone for your entire body. And if you can't turn your eyes and move your head because your neck can't move, then it's going to affect the musculature of your entire self. So, you know, eye movements can release the neck movements can release the eyes. It's pretty amazing. In terms of the vertebrae, they are the most flexible vertebrae. They have complete range of motion, rotation, side bending, flexion, and extension, the cervical spine. So it's the neck is interesting.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to release the neck if you know what you're doing.
About 3 months ago, I found I couldn't serve in tennis because I realized I couldn't move my neck and see the ball. And it's hard to hit the ball when you toss a serve up and you can't move your neck. And I actually went back and I wanted students know this. The physical therapy exercises I was prescribed over 20 years ago. And since I've done them religiously every morning and evening now for 3 months, I can now move my neck, but sitting here watching a screen for 45 minutes, my neck has become so tight that all I guess I can actually feel the bones moving and hear them. And I will do maybe 30 minutes of stretching between morning and evening every night on my neck, or I can't function. And part of it was stubbornness of 20 years of not doing it.
There you go. Well, feel free to do whatever you need to do to.
I will lie on the floor in the morning and I will do my 20 minutes of stretching tonight. And if I don't do it in the morning, I can't sleep, and B, when I get up, I can't move.
So that reading just captivated me because, you know, I of course knew the phrase stiff-necked. You know, we Jews take a little bit of pride in being a stiff-necked people. And our reading does point out the fact that, like every midah, there are positive aspects to that. You know, being stiff-necked and stubborn has been a foundation of our survival as a people. And yet, you know, the negative aspect and the limitation that we create for ourselves when we're stiff-necked was fascinating to me, not to mention just the physiological aspect of the fact that, you know, our entire body comes together through this one transit point. That was amazing. Felix, yes, you're so polite raising your hand.
I believe in law and order.
Me too.
More in order than in law, but okay. My response to all this was really to take it to a figurative level.
Yes.
That the neck serves to connect our brain with our heart and our heart with our brain, and that we all need to reach a certain balance between kindness, generosity, compassion from the heart, and intelligence, knowledge, and practicality, let's say, from the brain. And to be stubborn is to not constantly reevaluate and be flexible with that balance. That sometimes we do need to have more of one than the other, but we should never lose the other, whichever the other is, completely.
Mm.
Thank you.
My grandmother used to talk about, I don't remember who it was, but she always used to say that person was an auction. And there it is.
That person is a what?
Auction.
Auction. So that's the Yiddish form of action, which is stubbornness. Yes.
Oh, auction. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I love something that you said recently, Rabbi, I think. I don't remember when, but it wasn't too long ago. You said very often it's better to be kind than to be right.
Yes.
Right?
Right. That was quoting my beloved husband, Ron, who one morning we were discussing something at breakfast. He said, I'd rather be happy than be right. And, you know, it was like, you know, do I need to hammer home my point to get the other person to acknowledge that they were wrong and that I was right? Or can I just let it go and move forward and be happy? And so Ron made that comment, and then I developed it into a Devar Torah that I gave a couple of months ago. And I recently shared it with you all in the context of this conversation about stubbornness, because I think we do sometimes so much want to stubbornly assert, but, you know, but, you know, and just, okay, you know, how much do I need to be invested in having you say, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there are more important things than being right.
That's right.
And the way you express that is by sending flowers.
And coffee.
So we didn't do any review of practice on arrogance. Did anybody have anything that you wanted to share as a final thought about arrogance? Because we're closing out that chapter as we're moving into stubbornness. Good. Okay. We kind of just delved right in here, and I wanted to make sure that if anybody had anything still remaining that they wanted to share, that we gave that opportunity. So I think fundamentally, one of the important things as we look into stubbornness is the recognition that we have the ability to change. You know, the book of the Torah begins in the book of Genesis with we're given choices to make. We have the opportunity to make decisions, and we are capable of making change. And when we are stubborn, we're kind of taking the opposite perspective, that to deny ourselves the opportunity. You know, that's what's so beautiful about that visual image of turning the neck is, wow, you know, when I turn my head, I can see so many different perspectives and ways of thinking. And if I'm this idea of being stubborn, you know, I'm stiff-necked, I can't turn, I can only see what I can see right in front of me. And the authors in our reading talk a lot about, so am kashay oref, stiff-necked people is one of the Hebrew phrases. The other phrase they talk about is azut panim, having a brazen forehead. And that was a little bit more maybe challenging and difficult, but you'll see when you get to, it's actually in the reading for the next section, but let me find that for you, about azut panim. So yeah, the stiff-necked person can't turn to see another perspective. And at the end of stubbornness, the authors write on the very first page, quote, that the end of stubbornness is quarreling, and the end of quarreling is regret. So when we get so stubborn and locked into our point of view, there's no good that comes out of that. When I've worked with couples counseling, we talk about the speaker-listener technique, and the idea that the way to resolve conflict in a conversation or in a relationship is being able to see the other person's point of view and articulate it to their satisfaction. So rather than stubbornly asserting our own point of view, to just completely let go of our own perspective to the point where we can say, okay, you tell me how you see it. How does it look from your world, where you're standing, where you're looking at? And when I can say, okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you think A, B, C, D, E, and the other person goes, yes, that's what I'm thinking. That's how I see it. That's how I feel. Now, are you willing to listen to how I see it? And when you can feel fully heard and understood to the point that the other person says, okay, so I think what you're saying is A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and you can go, yes. A lot of times, that's all that's needed to move away from that quarreling that's going to lead to regret, is just to be able to get that the other person gets it. And I have found this to be true in my relationships. I don't know if it resonates for you, but I have found it to be true. And it's not the caricature that you want to have this technique in everyday conversation, you know, could you please pass the salt? So if I understand you correctly, you feel that your food is, you know, doesn't have a full sense of taste and would be better with the addition of some salt. So you're requesting that I hand the salt to you.
God.
You know, but when you find that you're stuck and you have that, the end of stubbornness is quarreling, and the end of quarreling is regret. Sometimes the ability to take that step back and, you know, turn your neck and see another point of view, or in Owen's case, turn your whole body.
Because that works as well.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking back to when I was younger, when I was little with my brothers, and I always thought you had to not only get your point across, but the other person has to see your way. I never knew. It was my older brother at one point said, okay, you've made your point. Do you want to lose your friendship with your brother because you want him to just see it the way you see it? And it really awakened me, because I had always thought that you have to keep with your opinion until the other person gets it. And then, you know, seeing the perspective like, wow, we're losing everything, and realizing, no, that's not what I want. I didn't, you know, it wasn't an awareness I had. And now it's easy to go, you know, it's not worth it. You know, we disagree, we disagree, and that's that. Well, you know,
So again, to go back to the couples analogy, what I often suggest to couples is, like, how passionately do you care about this issue? If this is like an 8 or 9 to you, then yeah, it's important to get into the weeds with your partner to really try to explain and make sure that they hear and understand how you feel, where you're coming from, what's important to you. If it's a 2 or 3 to you, and if it's an 8 or 9 to the other person, then let it go. So everything doesn't have to be an issue. I think that's the takeaway about stubbornness, that peace is a higher value sometimes than being right.
Isn't
Definitely.
there also a time when you cannot you have to be obstinate and stubborn on certain issues?
Absolutely. I've
That's
started
the
off by
positive
saying,
value of this.
you know, as a people, if we weren't quite so stubborn, we probably would have disappeared.
That's
Right.
right.
So,
Right.
I mean, certainly in a parenting relationship, Matthew, I'm thinking about that. Yeah, if, you know, the kid wants to run in the street, I'm going to stubbornly assert that, no, you can't go in the street without holding a parent's hand or an adult's hand. That to me is an appropriate place to be completely stubborn. I have no flexibility about that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an example you were thinking of?
Well, I'm thinking where sometimes you have to take a stand, be it unpopular for whatever reason. It can be dealing with the current situation, what's acceptable in terms of sheltering in place to what isn't. I was running a meeting recently and there was an argument where someone said, oh, I love living in this community, and gee, 15 of us got together to watch a movie in someone's garage.
Uh-huh.
But we were all 8 or 10 feet away, except when we went to the wine bar and the food area and stuff. Someone kind of freaked out. And I muted everyone and said, look, what you choose to do is your own, but it better not be a function of the community. And I ask you to respect everyone else before you infect all of us. And she took great umbrage in it. That, well, I think what I'm doing is fine. And you know, maybe she was, but you know, like, how do you say to someone you've crossed a line of what's acceptable, especially in this pandemic?
So yeah, you raise an interesting point about things that are done in the name of an institution or a community or an organization. You know, we faced that challenge in the temple. You know, we had the first week of the virus, we live streamed our services from the temple. So there was nobody in the congregation there, and we all sat 6 feet away from each other. But by a week later, that was no longer an acceptable optic. So even if we all felt safe, and even if we all were safe, we felt that it was important to role model the fact that we're going to maintain that sense of distance. As an aside, Matthew, I'm wondering if you wouldn't be a lot happier person if you got off that HOA board.
The ironic thing is, last November, I stated this would be my last year as president. Even though I had 2 more years left on the board, and I had said, someone has to take over.
Yeah.
And other people have done that. You give notice, you've served your time. And the answer is, a lot of people who zoomed into the meeting we had Monday night sent personal notes to myself and the treasurer, thanking us for what we did to include and have the whole community involved.
So I appreciate your strong midah of responsibility.
I assure you that I've had to cajole and twist the arm of the treasurer to be president next year by getting someone else on the board who can take over his job, and threatening him that I'll just resign in the middle and leave him to take over. But it is, you know, what you just said about not having services in the synagogue and having them in the home, to me, I hadn't thought about it, but it's quiet leadership. It's leading by example without saying why. And I think that's a lot of what we need in times of stress. That it's strong and it's stubborn. And I'm sure people would have liked to have seen everyone in the shul. Maybe you can impose the background shot. But I think it's important that you set a moral example. You took an obstinate position for the right reason.
So did people get the handout that I sent? Does
Yes.
everyone have
Yes.
I didn't.
Yes.
Matthew, I don't think it's an obstinate position. I think it's a strong and considered position. It's the difference between boldness and brazenness. They thought about it and said, this is what we need to do, and here's why. That's the obstinate.
So Beth, I sent the document that looked like this. It was only 2 pages. I can assure you for Sarah, we're gonna have more, but it starts off from Zelig Pliskin's Gateway to Self-Knowledge, and it has a bunch of questions. And then,
Oh,
then
I don't
yeah.
know if I got that. I don't think I got
the
that.
one on, is it the one on stubbornness? It says
yes,
gateway to happiness in the middle.
yes,
Okay, I got it. Sorry.
okay.
I didn't get that one, Rabbi.
I don't know if I got it.
I didn't get that one.
All right,
It was with the link to the meeting.
Right.
yeah.
Oh,
It's in the same email as the link to the
All
meeting.
right, I'll go look.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, could
I
somebody?
have it pulled up, Rabbi, if you want me to share the screen.
Oh, yes, Elizabeth, you are so great. Thank you. And would you mind reading number 4 for us?
Can you all see it now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So, yeah, if you would just scroll down to the very last paragraph. And maybe,
yeah.
maybe read that for us, please.
Oh,
Are you asking me to read it?
I
Yes,
see it.
ma'am, I am.
Okay. Flexibility is the most important tool in interpersonal relations. If you are rigid in your demands that others always comply with your wishes, you might frequently get your way, but you will not have close relationships with other people. Be flexible and learn to differentiate between what is important and what is not. A person who feels he must always get his way is telling himself, if I give in to others, it means that I am a weakling. Excuse me. The Torah attitude is that honoring others is what makes a person honored.
True.
Yep.
Very true.
So, do you think it's the case that people feel that if they look at other points of view and perhaps accede to other points of view, that implies a sense of weakness?
No, not at all.
No.
Well, some people must. I mean, because this whoever wrote this must think that that it is a weakness. It's just they just have to be. They have to relearn that. They just have to relearn, talk to themselves that they're worthy, and learn that what others have to say. That's what we need to honor.
I think it's a form of strength. It demonstrates strength. I think it demonstrates strength to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So, a strength and wisdom. You know, we read in Pirkei Avot, "Ezehu chacham halomed mikol adam." Who is wise? The person who learns from everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a sense of strength and wisdom in realizing that you can't know everything, you don't know everything, and being open to learning from others, seeing other points of view can actually be a strength. Yes. So let's look at number 2 there for a minute. Anybody else have it besides Elizabeth, or somebody want to read from the screen?
Everyone has experiences which affect him in a way that without realizing it, he changes his perspective and attitudes. Become aware of when you have such experiences, and you will have more confidence in your ability to change the way you look at things. In case you are not able to find a positive way of looking at the situation, ask someone to help you. Often it is easier for an outsider to see the positive, since he is not as biased and emotionally involved as you. Very true.
Yes. How so, Sheila? What are you thinking?
Well, because you're only seeing it from your own perspective, and when you have somebody else kind of give you feedback, it makes you more aware that there are other ways of looking at it.
So that resonates for you.
Yes.
Can anyone think of a specific example where someone else was able to give you a different perspective on a situation that helped you to change your attitude?
Yeah, I can. I won't go into the details of it, but I have a very, very good friend here who at one point looked at me and said, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" What?
That
And
was in Pirkei Avot.
really waste of time.
I'm sorry, you were muted. What did you say again? No. Did you want to repeat those words again?
All the details of it. Michael, where are you? Where is that background that you have?
Oh, it's just a background picture that I took, and I just posted it up.
It's great. It's great.
Thank you.
All right, good. So Elizabeth, you can minimize that screen because we'll look at some more of that next time. And I'll try to remember when I send the recording of this session to resend that handout as well. So we have only a few more minutes. Let me see. I wanted to, I wanted to conclude with something that's in our reading as well. But before we get ready to part, let me say a couple of things. Yes, Matthew. I see you.
I just wonder if we look at that phrase about asking another to look at something differently, how that applies to COVID-19 and what we're going through. How do we find the silver lining that we talked about earlier? How do we understand that what we and others are going through? How do we look at it differently and come out in terms of Hashem in a better position? Because I think we need outside influences and voices to tell us this is not the end of the world.
Yes.
It may take some time. A lot of times experiences like this, when you're straight in the middle of it, you've got to be out of it to be able to look back and really reflect. I mean, I've experienced that before.
I also think it takes a tribe to help everybody. It just, sometimes you need to lean on somebody. You have to talk to other people. You have to express your frustrations, but maybe somebody else can help you through it. But it is a tribe, and that's what is good at Temple High. We're a group of people, a community.
So I think also, as we all gathered, I heard so much gratitude expressed from the people that I'm seeing here. People talking about precisely that, some good outcomes. Amanda eating dinner with her family on a more regular basis. Felix thinking about, do I need this office building that I'm so attached to? Beth working at the food bank. So I think that's exactly right, and it does lead to what I was going to suggest for our next section, because what I think is that because we are also deprived of opportunities to be with each other in person, that these times to get together by Zoom are exponentially important.
Definitely.
So what I'm gonna suggest is that at our next gathering, would people be available if we wanted to start maybe 15 minutes earlier, like 6:45 instead of 7? How hard would that be for people to sign on 15 minutes earlier? That way we can take our check-in time and hear what's going on individually with people and not have it take too much time from our actual God discussion.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I like
I think
that.
that's great. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to set it up then. I'll send you the link. I'll send you the copy of the handout. I'll send you the recording of this class session. I want to conclude with the briefest prayer, but before I do so, any final thoughts or takeaways that you want to reinforce from tonight?
I would just like to say that one thing that we can say about COVID-19 is that if you see in your neighborhoods families actually together,
Right.
talking to each other, children playing together. I mean, we know we're a society of technology. Kids are on their phones before or their iPads. No one was communicating, even with the young adults, the teenagers. So to me, it's amazing that this virus has brought people together in so many ways, and now we're able to communicate. So one thing that may come from this is better communication among families.
You know, I think you're so right. It's a great point, Michael. And I know that bicycle shops are doing a booming business now. And, you know, where Ron and I live, our patio overlooks the walkway on the golf course. And all day long, yeah, we see families biking together.
Yeah.
And never used to see that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's great.
I will be grateful when I can go out to walk again.
Well, when we can get together as a Musar group
Oh,
to do this here at my house while the roses are still blooming, and have we'll have a dinner together.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
I didn't hear what you said.
Owen's inviting us over when the quarantine is officially to have dinner in the garden.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Oh, and isn't there enough room for everyone to be 6 feet away?
Yeah.
Owen, I want to tiptoe through your garden.
There might be, Matthew, but the HOA police might break
He
up.
doesn't live in an HOA, he has a house.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm very grateful to everyone here, that's for sure.
So
Grateful.
I just want to conclude with this is I'll give you the reference here. It's an 11.4 page 2. This is, believe it or not, is an actual prayer from the Chaburah. So so let me just mute folks just so that people can hear this. It's very short, but this is a paragraph that is in the daily prayer in our Siddur, in the early prayers in the first couple of pages. So if you have a traditional Siddur at home, open up the Shacharit service and you'll hear these words. Our God and the God of our ancestors, may our prayer come before you. And do not ignore our supplication, for we are not so brazen and obstinate as to say before you, Hashem, our God and the God of our ancestors, we are perfectly righteous and have not sinned. Rather, we and our ancestors have sinned.
Mm-hmm.
So I will leave you with that thought. And by the way, just let me put in a plug. Sunday afternoon, 1 to 3 is our discussion of Finish Strong. Even if you missed the first part of the conversation, it will be valuable to participate in the second part. And if you are interested enough that you want to watch, I did record the first session. Drop me a note and I can send you the recording of the first session. The book is phenomenally meaningful and important, and I can't recommend it highly enough. And of course, we're live streaming Friday night and Sunday morning Torah study, Sunday night the concert. So lots going on this weekend. And
Forget your Facebook.
yeah, don't forget the Facebook, right? The meetup.
What concert? What concert is Sunday
So
night?
an Ichai went out today, so there's like kind of a Sunday night sing-along with with the Cantor, with Lucy Greenbaum, with Alan Naplin, Sharona Feller, and Josh Niehaus.
Oh, okay.
So you'll find the link for the live stream of that in the EHI that went out late this afternoon.
Oh, great. Now I have a question. Will all three of the clergy be doing services tomorrow evening from their home?
Yes, we will. So
Okay.
we each sit in front of our computer all by ourselves.
Okay.
And then through the magic of technology, that all gets melded and live streamed out together.
Very nice. Very nice.
I know it's crazy, but you know, talk about gratitude. Can you imagine if we had to go through this pandemic without the technology that we have today?
True, true. It's very true. I mean, I try and, I don't want to equate it to 9/11, but I mean, during 9/11, the country really came together. And then after a while, everyone went back to the way they were before. And I really pray that has made such an impact that it will not happen again.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Good night, everybody.
Yep.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you. Ari's excited about Halach.
Take care, everyone.
Nifty.